First and foremost, welcome to the brand new show, Run Amok. I'm your host, Javen Takar. You can ignore all the Beat the Press podcasts in the back. It's my blanket, my friend got me. You all know the story. We are now Run Amok. If you follow me on TikTok, you know the old rebranding situation, TikTok, Instagram. So I just wanted to get that out of the way real quick for the YouTube. So in this video, real quick, we're going to be going over the Philadelphia Eagles offseason because after the Super Bowl loss, everybody was wondering what is going to happen. They have so many free agents. Who are they going to bring back? Who are they going to add? What do the Eagles do now? So let's talk about the good news. Who did they keep? James Bradberry, very surprising. They also were able to keep Darius Slay. I thought it was going to be one or the other. Darius Slay, they released him. Teams started calling in, this and that. The Eagles went back. They looked, hey man, we kind of regretted this. He signed back for a cheaper deal. Very good. A plus, you got to keep both your corners. I feel like these three are your Philadelphia cornerstones. They are true Eagles. They were here with the dark days. They were here for the last Super Bowl. Jason Kelce, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. They kept those guys on relatively cheap deals, relatively fast, 1-2 year deals. You keep those guys. That's kind of keep the fans happy. And then you got to keep Boston Scott. So those are your guys that you got to keep. Solid. Slay and Bradbury were the big ones. Kelce, Cox, and Graham, just for the fan favorites. And now let's go over the big losses. This is what deteriorates teams, especially after a Super Bowl loss. First and foremost, you lose both your offensive and your defensive coordinator, Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. Shane Steichen going over to the Indianapolis Colts, Jonathan Gannon going over to the Arizona Cardinals. Going to be very interesting to see how those two can lead a team. Your big man up the middle, play next to Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave. He goes on ahead and he signs with the 49ers, the team that y'all destroyed in the NFC Championship. He goes on ahead and he signs with them. They're already a dangerous team as is. Now you've got Hargrave, Bosa, Eric Armstead. You got so many names on that defense. It's going to be tough to stop them. Honestly, Eagles fans, this is kind of backstab, but he went on ahead. He got a bag. 4-year, $84 million deal. Huge contract for a 30-year-old defensive tackle. If I'm an Eagles fan, I cry about the loss, but I see, hey, the contract, that's a big contract. I don't cry over spilled milk too much. Another big one here is CJ Gardner-Johnson. He tested free agency. He played his hands too much. He played his cards too much. Only signs a 1-year, $8 million contract with the Detroit Lions. This was a tough pill to swallow, I'm sure. You got to keep Bradbury and Slay. It would have been great for you to bring back Gardner-Johnson. He was huge in the Super Bowl run. He had 6 interceptions, something like that. He was your pick artist guy. He goes over to Detroit. Detroit, they're building something special. But that is a tough pill to swallow. You lose both of your linebackers, TJ Edwards and Kaiser White. TJ Edwards goes over to Chicago. Kaiser White goes over to Arizona. He joins Jonathan Gannon. That's going to be very interesting to watch out for. They kind of sign, 3-year, 2-year deals. Honestly, these guys, TJ Edwards especially, he was very solid, but they're replaceable, especially with some of the guys you already have. Nakobe Dean, rookie, second year, I believe, coming in. I think that he'll be very good in that Philadelphia defense. Marcus Epps, another safety you're losing. CJ Gardner-Johnson, Marcus Epps, you're losing both of those guys. But I think that you're a solid enough team. You have the depth to come in and not miss them too much. Gardner-Johnson, maybe. Marcus Epps, you can get over that. He goes on ahead. He signs a 2-year, $12 million deal with the Las Vegas Raiders. And then on the offensive side of the ball, you have Jalen Hurts, you have A.J. Brown, you have Devontae Smith. Your offensive guard, Isaac Samalu, he is out of here. He goes over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I feel like that's going to be a big impact. He was very solid in my opinion. I saw some people kind of talking trash about him. I think that he was very good. And he got a pretty good deal with the Steelers. I think the Steelers got a very good contract, 3-year, $24 million. This guy, he is very big, very solid. I would have loved to have him on any team. And then Miles Sanders. A lot of people really didn't expect him to return. 4-year, $25 million contract with the Carolina Panthers. Wow. I think this is a huge overpay for Miles Sanders. I think that he might get exposed a little bit. I feel like he might have been a product of that offensive line with the Philadelphia Eagles. So, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 really big losses, really big names that helped along this Super Bowl run. You have some replacements in place. You got Jordan Davis to replace Javon Hargrave. Let's see what he's all about. He's an early first round pick. Let's see if he lives up to that. You got Cam Jurgens. I think they drafted him to replace Kelsey, but if he can step in for Isaac Samalu at the offensive guard position, put him in. Get him now. He can develop, and whether you keep him there or you go on ahead, you draft another offensive guard in the draft, you pick one up later on, and you can slide Jurgens at center then when Kelsey retires. We expect him to retire after this season, and then you can put in your new offensive guard there. Nakobe Dean, we already talked about him a little bit. And they went on ahead and they signed Rashad Penny. I think a very solid signing, a 1 year, $1 million cheap contract. You have Rashad Penny, you have Boston Scott, you have Kenneth Gainwell. You got a nice committee going on. And of course, you have the legs of Jalen Hurts. Overall, I think that the Eagles really played this free agency as best as they could. Getting Slay and Bradbury, keeping those guys was huge. You currently have 13.9 million cap space, so a lot of room if you want to go ahead and you sign an Odell Beckham Jr., or something like that. Javon Clowney, Jadeveon Clowney, excuse me. I mean, there's a lot of names still left in free agency. Bobby Wagner. I mean, you have some money to spend. You can go on ahead. You can get a big name. You can get positional needs, and you can do a lot of things right now. Yannick Ngakoue, he's still there. Dalton Reisner. I mean, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys. You get what I'm saying. The Eagles are in a really good position, especially with Jalen Hurts just getting better. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. We talked about these targets already, guys. The defense, I think, is going to take a big drop off, especially with no Jonathan Gannon. We're going to see, was it Jonathan Gannon or was it the talent? It's going to be a very interesting season for Philadelphia. I'm not going to sit here and call this season fraudulent. You had a lot of talent, and that's shown. The other teams are not going to come out and throw these bags at your players if they're not talented, if it wasn't such a talented team. I think that Philadelphia and San Francisco, they're going to be the powerhouses of the NFC, especially as long as Jalen Hurts is there. Jalen Hurts, he's the guy. That being said, though, a lot of guys getting old. Kelsey, Cox, Graham, even Lane Johnson. You have some of these guys aging, getting to the end of their career. Lane Johnson's a guy you're going to want to replace soon, too, or at least draft his replacement. Kelsey, Cox, Graham, you have those replacements in place. Lane Johnson's going to be another guy. You replace those guys well enough, and then you can continue competing for another, 3-4 years. Hey, man, as long as you got Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, I think that the Eagles will have a run or a chance at the playoffs and even the NFC Championship. That's going to wrap it up. The Eagles, I got to give y'all a hand on how you handle this offseason, honestly. That's going to wrap up this episode here from Run Amok. I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check out the TikTok, the Instagram. I've been a lot more active on the Instagram as of recently. All at Run Amok Sports. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.